Hey everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of UFC Connected. As a tribute to UFC 300, we have a star-studded lineup on today's show. Here is what's coming up. Kayla Harrison reveals the turbulent journey that brought her to the Olympic podium and the biggest stage in the MMA world.
The UFC was the goal for me from the beginning. I'm gonna go make some magic.
Legendary UFC lightweight Jim Miller looks back on his record-breaking run inside the octagon.
It's been a surprise that I have been able to have this longevity. I wasn't expecting it, but here we are. I'm feeling good and performing well.
We travel to Chute Boxe in Brazil to attend the esteemed Academy's Muay Thai belt promotion ceremony for Charles Oliveira.
Hoje, eu sou dando a faixa com o cordão preto de Muay Thai, representando Chute Boxe Pedro Lima, então tô bem demais.
And Cody Garbrandt takes us through his UFC debut in day one.
I knew the fight was winding down, so I was like, I wanted to finish this guy.
Oh, he tagged him.
UFC debut, you only have one.
Featherweight Kayla Harrison's career to date has been lined with gold, Olympic medals in judo and championship titles in other MMA organizations. But for years, her steely resolve was a secret. Sexual abuse at the hands of one of her first coaches. Kayla details her arduous beginnings in this edition of Origins.
The UFC has officially signed Kayla Harrison. She is a two-time Olympic judo gold medalist.
Has that aura of, oh, she can take down anybody.
Kayla Harrison!
A world-class judoka.
The only person in U.S. history to win back-to-back Olympic gold medals in judo.
Kayla just so vicious and just landing offense the entire time that she's on top of you.
It is over. Kayla Harrison has arrived.
I'm from Middletown, Ohio originally. I grew up in a really small town. When I was a kid, I saw a karate commercial on TV and my mom said I was running around the house kicking my siblings and stuff. So my mom, she had done judo in college as like a self-defense course and she knew it would be really good for me. So she took me to the local dojo. I fell in love with it. I started judo when I was 6 years old. Right after I started judo, when I went to school, all of the boys would go to the field, wrestle and like play. So I went to the field because I was really excited and I wanted to show them judo. My friend was like, oh, show Brandon. And so I went over and I threw him and he got up and he pushed me and then we like got in a fight. I think from right then I knew that I kind of had a taste for, I'll say, competition. Judo very quickly became the center of my life. And by the time I was 8, I took it really seriously. I would go to school, then I would either lift or do cross country or do wrestling and then go from that practice to my judo practice, do my homework in the car. By the time I was 12, I was training twice a day. Well, I made my first Olympic trials when I was 14. I was super successful, but I was really broken. I really started to change as a kid. I didn't look people in the eye anymore. I stopped hanging out with my friends. Finally, when I was 16, I told my mom that my judo coach had been sexually abusing me for 8 years. He was sentenced to 10 years in a federal prison. And I was a 16-year-old car wreck. I was struggling to get out of bed. I didn't leave my house. I was suicidal and suffering from PTSD. And I was also groomed and brainwashed into thinking that I was responsible, it was my fault. It was really, really hard. I was probably supposed to be dead. You know, I wanted to die. There was a point in my life when I wanted to kill myself. And my mom knew that if I didn't have a goal, if I didn't have something to wake up for every day, that I was gonna end up in a really bad place. She made the really tough decision, and we moved to Boston, and I'm embarked on a healing journey. I started to train with my new coaches, Jimmy and his father, Big Jim. to train for the Olympics full-time in the sport of judo.
This is Jimmy and this is Big Jim.
They didn't just like change my life, they saved my life.
Say, come on, finish gripping. You first.
You know, I wouldn't be sitting here today if it weren't for having the Pedros in my life. My judo coach, Jimmy, actually really helped me become a mentally strong person. He would say, visualize what it is you want to accomplish in this life. Kayla Harrison, you're the best Olympic champion. Kayla Harrison, world champion.
Kayla Harrison!
I was able to find confidence again and then renew my love for the sport.
Kayla Harrison, she doesn't like losing, not one bit.
I started to have more success in judo again.
Wide range of technical ability, a very, very fit young lady.
Yeah, she's had to tap out.
Harrison wins the gold.
And I ended up winning the World Championships when I was 20.
Kayla Harrison has more Grand Prix Grand Slam wins than any other lady competitor in the world.
And then becoming Olympic gold medalist in 2012.
Kayla Harrison wins the gold medal for the United States of America.
And then I won my second Olympic gold medal. That night, I woke up with a panic attack because I knew I was retiring from judo, but I didn't know who the hell I was if I didn't have a goal. So I went to a striking class. I went to my first sparring session, and this like little tiny girl like front kicked the out of me. I went flying backwards, and I was like, oh, wow, MMA. This is judo on like steroids. Oh yeah, this is it.
Oh, wow.
High amplitude takedown there.
Kayla just so vicious in this top position with you, just relentlessly. Oh, wow.
It is done. Kayla Harrison has arrived.
I was living in Florida at the time. I had won my first MMA world title. But right before that, my mother had suffered a stroke. My mother had custody of my niece and nephew. Her husband very suddenly passed away, and I flew up to Ohio. My mom was still recovering.
Okay, come eat.
And I made the decision to take the kids home with me. I rented a car, we packed up some of their stuff. My son was like a year old at the time, and my daughter was 6 at the time. And we became a family.
Well, what did we agree on? Waffles.
Waffles and protein smoothie.
I think I knew that they were gonna stay with me forever.
Okay, go get ready for school.
I had never been a mom before, didn't know what the hell I was doing, still don't. But it was also the best thing that's ever happened to me. I didn't know what my life was missing until I became a mom.
Okay, where did you put those socks I asked you to get?
They saved me just as much as I hope I saved them.
You got your water?
They've made my life just so full of color.
I love that I'm a mom. It's just the best job in the world.
God gave them to me for a reason. We're breaking generational cycles. We call ourselves the Wolf Pack. The UFC was the goal for me from the beginning. And I am a firm believer that if you want to be the best, you got to train with the best. When I first came to try out American Top Team, Amanda Nunes was training here at the time, the GOAT. So that was a big reason for me moving down here.
If you're back to stand up, switch.
Steve Mako, I knew that he would be able to help integrate my judo grappling into MMA.
Slow and steady.
Mike Brown, 20-time Coach of the Year for a reason. He just loves what he does and has a passion for it.
Good ride, good ride, good ride.
Everyone here has helped make this place feel like home.
It's a lifetime of hunting one goal, to be the best. This is something that has to be developed over a lifetime. Special athlete, no doubt about it.
I love fighting. It brings me joy. You're 0.1% of the population on the highest stage in the world, in front of everyone. To me, this is what happens when you don't give up. I'm gonna go make some magic.
Since his first octagon outing at UFC 89 all the way back in 2008, lightweight Jim Miller has welcomed all comers, from icons like Cowboy Cerrone and Nate Diaz to current top 10 names like Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira. Miller has faced all of them with his signature Jersey tough grit. 40-plus UFC fights later, he owns multiple records with plans to extend those streaks in his upcoming bouts. We sat down to find out how he has made it this far and what's next.
Well, this is a fighter's fighter to the highest degree.
Jim Miller is a wild man. Win, lose, or draw, you're never going to see a boring Jim Miller fight. He comes to scrap.
The performances inside the octagon, the records that he holds, I mean, it's unreal.
I had no idea that I'd fight this long and be mentioned in some of these conversations.
He's got 25 wins in the octagon. That's the most all time. He's making this walk for the 43rd time. That's the most fights in UFC history.
It's been a surprise that I have been able to have this longevity. I wasn't expecting it, but here we are. I'm feeling good and performing well.
Jim Miller!
I grew up here in New Jersey. I think that sticking with my roots, having the people that I care about and that care about me close has helped me stay true to myself. I'd summarize my career as pretty long. I come from a wrestling family. I was on the mat as soon as I could walk, really. 2 older brothers, and I was the youngest and always the smallest. In 1997, I went to wrestling camp with my brothers, and one of the high school coaches brought a VHS of one of the early UFCs. And that was the first time I was ever introduced to MMA.
Oh, that's it. And that is all. He hit the ground very hard. Oh, Lord.
And immediately fell in love with it. I went to school for a little bit, but didn't excel academically at college. So my brother and I, we ended up opening up Miller Brothers MMA in Sparta, New Jersey. Having my brother there, Dan, to train with, that made me better. We trained every day together. Dan is 5 inches taller than me and 30 pounds heavier than me. So fighting some of these big lightweights was nothing. On the local circuit, I had racked up quite a few fights. I was 11-1.
We are in the waning seconds of this round.
I came up through the local ranks, and then I had my opportunity with the UFC.
From Sparta, New Jersey, one of the 2 Miller brothers. Great fighter, a real entertaining young kid, and it's nice to see him finally in the UFC.
I was able to put on a good performance in my debut fight and get a bonus.
He's got it deep, Mike. That's deep, that's it. It is all over!
By committing and being all into it, I was able to reap the rewards and make it my profession.
This is exactly what he wanted. This is bad for Ludwig. He's got it!
My first 10 fights in the UFC, I went 9-1.
Jim's got to lay out. Jim Miller submits Charles Oliveira!
It's hard to pick out favorite moments. My first fight with Joe Lozon, it was an epic fight.
Oh, beautiful. Attack by Miller.
And Lozon covering up here early.
Oh, my God. Big shots by Miller. Dirty boxing here. He's hurt. Lozon is hurt.
I can still hear the crowd in between rounds.
5 minutes to go here for these lightweight warriors.
This is a grueling fight. Beautiful inside leg kick. Nice knee to the body by Lozon. Miller may be hurt. Joe Lozon dropping down for a heel hook.
Joe Lozon trying to finish Jim Miller in the waning seconds.
Wow, what a fight.
Yeah, that's definitely one that's like, it sticks with me. My brother Dan and I fought on a lot of cards together. We were the first siblings to fight on the same card and win. UFC 128, that was probably like the hardest fight that I've had. And it wasn't the fight. It was just the extra stuff that added to it. The card was on March 19th. That would have been my late niece's second birthday. She was born with some complications, had a tough labor, and passed away, you know, a couple hours after being born. So Dan and I, now we were fighting back to back on the main card. Dan went out first and he fought a contender, one of the best 85-pounders on the planet with a broken heart. I could definitely see it in his performance that he wasn't there. All I wanted to do was like be there for him, be in his corner, and I couldn't, you know, I had to do my thing.
Jim Miller against Kamal Shalarus.
Are you ready? Let's fight!
That fight, that win, it was important.
And that is precisely why I'm a big Jim Miller fan. This dude comes to bang. Shalarus may be hurt. Nice knee. Shalarus is
looking to finish his fight. It is all over!
And then came backstage, and the first thing I did was gave him a hug. It's easily the hardest thing that I've had to do in fighting.
One quick one for Jim. Jim, talk about your emotions right now.
My late niece would be 2 years old tonight, so, you know, it was tough.
2 days or 3 days before UFC 196, I went for my physical. I was talking to my doctor, and I was in a ton of pain. There were days where I just couldn't get out of bed. So he ran a series of tests, and when the test results came back, I was actually out in Vegas for that fight. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty certain you've got Lyme disease. It kicked my butt at the end of 16 into early 17, and it chewed me up inside. Up. And then it was a long battle with it.
Yep.
I fought Dustin Poirier early 2017 with Lyme disease.
Jim Miller making the walk for his 26th UFC appearance, contemplated retirement after being diagnosed with Lyme disease, but went on medication, was feeling better to set up this showcase against the top 10 opponent, Dustin Poirier.
The Lyme had come back and gotten a pretty good hold on me. Fight night, I was having a reaction. My arm was twitching like uncontrollably, flu-like symptoms. When the house lights dimmed down, everything had this weird yellow tint to it. And like, I remember being like, well, that's weird. And it's like, you know, there's nothing you can do about it now. So like, let's go.
Hey. Poirier in blue, Miller is in black. Southpaw versus southpaw here.
Poirier with a beautiful combination, and Miller returns. Oh, they're going after it here.
That's what we talked about. How long could Dustin Poirier fight the urge, him and Jim Miller, to actually do that?
Oh, man, Poirier pouring it on. Oh, that was a hard right hook. And Miller comes back with one of his own.
It was a really, really tough fight. That fight was brutal. It was miserable. I felt like it was in a car wreck. I had that first pre-Lyme era. I won a lot of fights in my early part of my career, just stepping on the gas pedal and outpacing people. And then I had the Lyme disease era where the symptoms came in. I couldn't sprint, I couldn't lift, I couldn't do the things that were my strengths. Fortunately, I was able to beat it into remission. Prioritizing being healthy is number one, not getting injured. That's the biggest key. I try to train to my strengths, fight to my strengths, but also learn new stuff. Then we work on the technique, stuff I'm good at. The last thing I worry about is what my opponent brings to the table these days, which sounds crazy, but that's the secret sauce, you know? There's all the ingredients for what I'm doing. We're at a point where I've figured out how to train and how to fight. As now a 40-year-old, I've been able to stay true to myself. I get to be me when I'm outside the gym, and that's important. I'm an outside kind of guy. I like to be outside, hunting, fishing, just really anything. I am happy splitting firewood, moving dirt on the tractor, in the garden, the things that I care about, the things that I want to do. I've had access to them here. I've been able to kind of set myself up in a spot now where I get to do all that stuff and stay active and keep my mind busy. Experience is a weapon, it's a tool. I fought pretty much everybody in this division, and I fought every body type and style, so I know what to expect. Sometimes people call me a journeyman or something like that. I'm 5-1 in my last 6 with 5 finishes, 23-second knockout in there.
Oh, Miller sits him down.
It doesn't sound like a journeyman to me. I think the biggest thing that I hope that people take away from my legacy is I am not going to be happy if I win by decision.
Oh, guillotine. Oh, that's tight, that's tight.
There's the tap.
Wow.
He is the all-time wins leader in UFC history.
There's that silly voice inside my head that's all I want. The legacy should just be that willingness to fight and to keep going. And like, I'm going to go as hard as I can go for as long as I can go.
Just remarkable stuff, what this man continues to do time after time.
Bantamweight Cody Garbrandt made a quick and lethal first impression during his UFC 182 debut. Stepping into the octagon as an undefeated 23-year-old on a 5-fight finish streak, the future champion called No Love aimed to put his power on display on the sport's biggest stage. And on that night in January of 2015, he certainly did not disappoint. We reconnect with the former champion as he walks us through that unforgettable evening. This is day one.
Making it to the UFC was always a goal, but not only making it, I wanted to be the UFC champion.
Oh, good count. Oh, he hurt him. He hurt him. Oh, goodness. Cody Garbrandt.
Heading into the UFC, I was 5-0 with 5 knockouts.
He looks dead. He's done.
Oh, that could be the beginning of the end right there. This is an onslaught from Garbrandt. Cody, No Love Garbrandt, your first Pinnacle FC Bantamweight champion.
I think it's huge for a fighter that has a lot of hype behind him to go out there and perform the way that he should. Definitely felt like I was ready to take on all the challenges to get to the top of the UFC. For my UFC debut, I was very excited about the matchup against Marcus Brimage. What I knew about Marcus was that he had more UFC fights than I had fights combined. He's a veteran of the sport. He was coming off of a huge head kick knockout. I was very excited to get him off of a win. Battle tested inside there with all the experience that he had.
What's up, my friends? Welcome to the weigh-in.
My first UFC weigh-in was just amazing. The crowd was wild. I mean, I was so used to just doing weigh-ins and the little regional local shows that had maybe 25 people. You know, we had a huge ceremonial weigh-in. Jumping on the scale, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
135.5 for Cody.
And then you're having the face-off, you know, seeing Dana, all the UFC personnel there. It was just amazing to see how it all worked for the first time.
Marcus Brimage and Cody Garbrandt, ladies and gentlemen.
This is UFC 182, Jones versus Cormier.
Debuting in such a massive card with John Jones versus Daniel Cormier, it was just electricity. I was just trying to take it all in, relatively unknown. First time fighting in Vegas, just so excited to have my UFC debut finally come to light. Very excited for the task at hand. It's kind of like, hey, this is your homecoming. This is how you showcase your skills, and to the matchmakers and to Dana and to the UFC, the world's eyes are on you.
Cody No Love Garbrandt. And this young man has a tremendous amount of potential.
My first walk to the UFC octagon was just amazing. Everything I thought of and more. Fans going crazy. I had my family support that was there. I heard them cheering, you know. As chaotic as it was, I found bliss and peacefulness as walking to the octagon to go to war.
Cody No Love Garbrandt.
You know, I had my hair standing up. I was ready to go. My heart rate was racing. I was like, I remember to breathe, you know, like this is Bruce Buffer. This is real. You know, you're about to fight once he gets out of this octagon.
Brimage, Garbrandt, and here we go.
I remember the first round, we were filling out process. We started landing some good shots, some inside kicks.
Good inside leg kick by Garbrandt. Appears to be relaxed here early. Relaxed and throwing heat.
I was starting to find a home for my right hand. that was landing pretty well.
Big smile on his face. That was a solid inside leg kick by Garbrandt. Oh, he tagged him.
I did hit him with a right hand. Once I hit him, I could see in his eyes. We're a little bit different.
Cody tagged him. Brimage is in trouble. Big flurry here at the end of the round.
He kind of just like looked at me like right after the bell, and I just kind of gave him like a big old roar. And I was like, all right, here we are, round one done. I'm a UFC fighter now.
So far, looking very smooth and composed in his UFC debut.
I remember going in the second round and still playing out. I was landing some shots.
Oh, good left hand landed by Garbrandt.
I was in the moment. I was like, oh, let's go. You know, I don't want to slow down, but I was letting the kind of flow inside there, and whatever happened, whatever I felt like throwing or doing, I was ready to be in the next best position to win the round, win the fight, staying engaged.
Cody Garbrandt certainly confident. We're going to be headed to the third and final round.
Went to the third round. I know I was hurting him. I had some real clean shots on him, but my thing was just staying, you know, composed, defensively sound, don't get hit with anything. I knew the fight was winding down, so I was like, I wanted to finish this guy.
We're going to see a sprint to the finish.
Oh, he hurt him, he hurt him!
Trying to finish this fight right here.
He was on wobbly legs, and I just remember just swarming him with hooks and hooks and hooks and hooks until he was finally out.
Oh, that's it, that's it. He's gonna stop it.
It is all over!
Wow.
Cody Garbrandt! Stop Marcus Brimage!
You know, it was a huge win for me personally, and a huge win for me in my career. Obviously, the UFC debut, you only have one.
Cody Garbrandt!
I got the finish, and now we were, you know, in the UFC, and it felt awesome. It felt amazing, all the hard work. I knew that was just the beginning.
One of the most anticipated occasions within a martial arts school is the belt promotion ceremony. For Brazil's legendary team Chute Boxe, this event has become a major celebration. Thousands of Chute Boxe members from around the world now flock to Curitiba for the annual event, where Master Rudimar Fedrigo honors a new group of students moving up in the ranks. In 2023, the star honoree was none other than the UFC submission king, the former lightweight champ Charles Oliveira, who received an armband recognizing a black belt level of Muay Thai mastery. We joined him to check out this epic event for ultimate access.
Olha, nós estamos exatamente aqui no centro de Curitiba e é a Praça Oswaldo Cruz, que é uma conhecida, né? Esse lugar para mim é muito emocionante porque foi aqui onde tudo iniciou e aqui me inspirou a ter a escola e fazer essa potência que é a Chute Boxe. E hoje é o nosso encontro de todas as academias Chute Boxe. Hoje nós tivemos a felicidade de graduar o Charles Oliveira.
Hoje, eu sou dono da faixa com um cordão preto de Muay Thai, representando a Chute Boxe Pedro Lima, então tô feliz demais. Uma honra de grandeza ser graduado pelo mestre Rudimar, pelo fato de, pô, foi o cara que começou, foi o cara que deu o pontapé inicial.
O grão-mestre Rudimar Fedrigo.
Bom dia, pessoal. Uma alegria grande estar aqui. Hoje vai ser um dia especial. Vamos mostrar agora a força da nossa escola.
Vamos lá, galera, todo mundo contando junto, vamos lá.
1.200 guerreiros aí no tatame. Cada graduação uma responsabilidade e é uma demonstração da nossa força, da nossa união. Olha, o Charles tem muitas qualidades. Eu quero citar a principal, que é a cabeça dele, uma mente forte, né? Um cara humilde. Ele é um exemplo de campeão e vai provar isso, trazendo a cinta novamente para o Brasil. Obrigado, mestre. Obrigado.
Cara, acho que a Chute Boxe não é equipe, é uma família gigantesca. Todo mundo se ajuda, todo mundo quer evoluindo, fazendo camp junto, dentro do vestiário, chorando, vibrando junto. A gente tá sempre junto nessa sessão. Olha nossas lutas. É só você olhar nossas lutas, que ninguém entende. Nossos treinos, olha nossos treinos.
A galera já fala, pô, isso aí é da Chute Boxe, vai ser guerra, sabe que a gente só anda pra frente.
O dia de hoje foi importante pro Charles. Ele recebe toda a energia do nosso exército, todos os lutadores, todos os atletas, né? sentindo aquela vibração, aquela vontade de ter ele novamente campeão. Então foi muito importante. Eu gostaria que a gente recebesse aqui o nosso campeão, Charles Oliveira. Vamos passar aqui toda a nossa energia pro Charles. Vai estar se formando hoje. Charles, obrigado. E você está representando sempre a nossa escola. E nós, todo esse exército aqui, ó, vai estar junto com você quando você estiver entrando no octágono agora em 2024 para trazer a cinta para todo mundo aqui.
Primeiramente, obrigado de todo o meu coração. Eu costumo falar pra galera assim, né? Querer ser chute boxe tem um monte, mas ser de verdade chute boxe é pra poucos. Eu sou chute boxe de verdade. Eu sou o verdadeiro chute boxe. Eu tenho o maior orgulho de representar essa bandeira, o maior orgulho de representar essa escola. Eu prometo para todos vocês, vou dar o meu melhor, o meu máximo para me se tornar campeão mais uma vez. E eu se tornando campeão, todos nós somos campeões, tá? Obrigado por todo o carinho.
Viva o Charles de Oliveira, Charles do Bronx, nosso campeão. Hey!
Grau Preto, uma honra gigantesca ser graduado pelo mestre Rudimar, um cara que graduou vários outros grandes nomes, e poder me graduar é algo gigante. Então estou feliz demais, são muitos anos de se dedicando, muitos anos acreditando no sonho, muitos anos, né, com uma família que acreditou no meu sonho de se tornar campeão.
Para mim foi uma emoção especial, eu nunca vou esquecer.
Ah, colocar uma faixa na cintura, colocar um... É tudo aquilo que você deixou, tudo aquilo que você se dedicou, né? O moleque que veio dentro da comunidade, faixa preta de jiu-jitsu, cordão preto de Muay Thai, então isso é importante e gigantesco. Então eu só quero continuar treinando, fazendo história, tendo as pessoas que gostam de mim, continuar se dedicando bastante para que a gente possa quebrar mais recordes, representando essa família gigantesca que é a Chute Boxe.
That's all for this special episode, but we will see you next time right here on UFC Connected. Thanks for watching.